Welcome to this new episode of 7 Minutes with the Word. Today, I want to share a few verses with you from the text of Luke chapter 15, verse 17 to verse 20. Now, this is an excerpt, part of the story of the prodigal son. We know exactly what he did, took the money of his father, went squandered it in wild living. Then he came to a place where he was completely frustrated and then decided to effect a change. That is the part of the story I want to read with you. It says Luke chapter 15, 17 that when he came to his senses, he said, "How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here am I starving to death?" Verse 18, "I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.'" Verse 20 says, "So he got up and went." I'll be talking to you about what I've titled Provoking a Change. Now, this is the beginning of a new year. In passing, Happy New Year 2023. A lot of people have made resolutions to change. Many people have talked about change. They need a change. Some have even proclaimed that this year is the year of their change. In crossover nights, people have emphasized change, and they are seeing 2023 in a new light. So I want to talk something about that change so desired for this new year. Now, change is the act of becoming something else, the process through which one becomes something that he was not before. That's what changes. In this story of the prodigal son, I see a change in the sense that the prodigal son lived a certain life, but later on decided to change and become somebody else, somebody different. From this story, I want to bring out a few dynamics of change. Dynamics are causes or properties that stimulate a change, that stimulate growth, that stimulate a development. Dynamics are like catalysts, triggers, causes of change. There are three I want to share with you in respect to this prodigal son and what caused this young man to change. The first thing is, when this guy has squandered his life, the Bible says in verse 17 that he came to his senses. That's the first dynamic, the first thing, first trigger for change. The young man came to his senses. I'm calling this realization of the need to change. The first thing that provokes a change is the realization of the need to change. This is motivated, or this involves self-evaluation. There can be no change until you realize the need to change. And we see this in this prodigal son. He came to his senses. He realized that he needed to change. He realized that his life needed to take a new course. But this comes through self-evaluation. Looking at yourself and speaking the truth to yourself about where you are at the moment where you are. Talking to yourself about who you have become. I've prepared a good number of questions that may help you realize the need of change and effect it. First of all, there may be a question like, where am I at this point of my life? In the process of self-evaluation to provoke a change, you need to ask this question: where am I at this point of my life? Is it where I was supposed to be? That's another question. A third question could be, why did I get there in the first place? Another question is, how did I get there? And this one has to do with contributing factors to where you are. Why did I get there in the first place? How did I get there? Another question could be, how can I get out of here? How can I get out of here? And I can guarantee you that for you to get out of where you are at this particular time may require that you do the exact opposite of what brought you into the situation where you find yourself. You may have to tread the opposite path of what brought you into your trouble. Most of the time, that is what is involved in changing. So the first thing that provokes a change, as we've said, is realizing the need for change. The second thing is this young man said in verse 18, I will set out and go back. So there was a determination to change. The first thing he did was realizing that he needed to change. The second thing he did was determining to change. You cannot change until you make up your mind to change. No change is going to come your way until there's a decision to change. Now, this involves your will. Your will necessitates that you make some choices and you take some decisions that are going to change the course of your life. So this young man decided it is something that moves your will towards a change. You are envisaging some desired results and your heart tilts in that particular direction so that the expected result, the change you're looking for, is going to come to pass. So the second thing that is important here is that you should determine to change. Nothing will change in your life until you are determined to change. This is very, very, very important. Your life will keep stagnating until you actually desire to change, until you determine to change, until you set out for a change. And the third thing is that this young man said in verse 20, I'm sure, the Bible says he got up and went. You see, a change necessitates practical action. There was a practical move towards a change. You see, change doesn't just come. Change doesn't come because you confess it. Change doesn't come because you recite it. Change doesn't come because you talk about it. Change doesn't come because you dream it. Change does not come because you went through a cross overnight and you said 2023 is my year of victory. Change comes when you decide to take practical actions towards a change. This is important. Change begins to take effect in your life when you practically decide to change. This year is a new year, and I came with an exhortation to you. If you really want to change, then you need to provoke it. Depending on God, looking up to God, praying and seeking God, seeking His face, so that the change you desire is going to take place, so that He helps you to implement that particular change. So 3 provokers of change, 3 catalysts, 3 things within the dynamics of change. Number 1, there should be a determination to change. There should be a desire to change, a realization of the need to change. Number 2, there should be a determination to change. Number 3, there should be a practical move towards change. The Lord bless you. Like our page on Facebook, and if you follow us on YouTube, I'll encourage you to subscribe so that you will have access to subsequent contents of 7 Minutes with the Word. Be blessed.